and Eric Sheets Haber. We're going to be talking about Week 8 NFL main slate. It's a big one, 13 gamer this week, and no breaks for us. So we really are going to have to try to figure some things out, and we'll go through it game by game. I guess Sheets, do you have any overall thoughts before we jump into the game by game?
Yeah, I don't know why it's like this, but on my early looks, it just looks as like I'm so concentrated with like only a few plays at every position.
Just big slate, small.
It looks like such complete standouts. And then as people think about other things, it does, other things kind of happen. But I guess we'll just go through it and see if we can't find other stuff to play.
Yeah, let's
share my screen and then
we'll go through it. I need to get off the injury bug. I understand you're gonna have players injured, but I can't keep having as many as I have and expect to have any sort of return at all. I mean, NBA. NBA and then NFL last week.
Well, NBA is what it is. Everybody sprains their ankle every fucking day, but football is like it's kind of tough.
Football happens more often. NBA, I mean, there's plenty of guys who played every game last year. Like, I don't know. But anyway.
You got 13 game slate. I mean, in NBA, I mean, whatever. I mean, you're gonna have it's gonna happen. I mean,
you're not gonna have 80% ownership on or 75% ownership on.
I mean, it would be nice if. By the way, I was watching some of that Portland game against Golden State in the third quarter. Boy, that is one really bad team. I mean, that is just really, really bad news. They got then Golden State like. I didn't even realize some of the guys they had on their team, like off the bench. Like Kyle Anderson's on the team now.
They're super deep. That's what I said. They've got 10 good role players.
Yeah,
they're really good. They're if they get a lead, they're just. It's not like the bench is a big drop off, except for the Curry part. But anyway,
right. Yep.
All right. Well, yeah. So I think there's a lot of ways to go on this slate. So I'm interested to see where we end up. Sort of. What's the first game you have here?
I got Baltimore, Cleveland.
One of them for me. All right. Let's talk. This is probably going to be the most interesting game. Baltimore's been torched through the air, but at the same time, they're just beating the hell out of everyone, so the numbers are a little bit misleading. So I will go. I'll do my same thing I always do with Baltimore. They're the most explosive. I believe that they're the best offense in football. I believe they're the best team in football. I also think Cleveland at home and letting Jameis air it out is going to make this game playable. So I'm interested in this game as a stack. How about you?
I mean, not me. I mean, when is Jameis Winston last done anything? I mean, like
he hasn't played.
That's what I'm saying.
He can still throw it. I'm telling you. Yeah. Oh yeah. He actually has an arm. That's the difference between him and these other guys. I mean, but not just him. Like, and just knowing that he's going to be throwing it because you're gonna. I mean, I know Baltimore got run on last week. It was the first time all year. They're still the best NFL run defense along with Detroit. They're going to have to throw it, and all the receivers are 48, 33, 32, and then you've got Njoku at 51. I think those are all really strong plays.
Okay. For me, I'm just not a believer. I just like Baltimore defense. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not particularly interested in playing these Cleveland guys. I guess I could later on, but look at one more time. I mean, the Cleveland guys. As far as Baltimore goes, can we start playing Mark Andrews again? I don't know. I just got better tight ends too.
Yeah.
Let me just look at my wide receivers. The way I have these listed somehow. I'm just trying to look. Okay, Jerry Jeudy 4,800. Is that his price here?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess. I have Cedric Tillman at 3,300.
To me,
what's that?
Cedric Tillman makes some sense to me.
Yeah, so Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman dip into value there. Yeah, okay, fair enough. So Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, I think are decent plays. You're gonna get the right game script. I have no argument against Njoku except that I just have a couple of guys that I have a little bit better, but not much better. Yeah, okay. You talk. I talk myself, and you talk me into it. So Njoku, the two receivers I mentioned, Jameis, I guess. I don't know. I'm definitely going to play some Baltimore defense, though.
Yeah, I hear you. The only problem is that, I mean, actually, they're actually more affordable than I thought. But I think that they're obviously a good defensive option. But either way, like I'm interested. I always am going to have some interest in some Lamar stacks. I like Henry, even though against a good defense in Cleveland. I don't really think that it matters how good the defense. I really think this Baltimore is just humming right now. If Zay Flowers is out, maybe that changes a little bit. He's questionable, but I would say that you should probably be considering Rashad Bateman anyway. I mean, we've seen him with Flowers now put up, 27 and 20 twice this year. So I would consider Bateman a strong play at 4,300 to go with the Moore, Tillman, and Judy and Njoku on the other side. I think I'm into this game a little bit. So I'll definitely be a little different in the field by getting exposure, some exposure here. Some of those guys are going to have some ownership, but it's not going to be high enough, in my opinion. All right. What's next up? You got Tennessee, Detroit.
Yeah. Okay. So I currently have right now, Amon St. Brown is one of the top receivers on the slate. I don't know if I could get to like a full stack or anything like that with the Detroit guys, but I think I currently have St. Brown rated really, really highly. On the Tennessee side, I don't know if they got rid of him yet, but I think they're shopping around. Oh no, he's already. I was thinking of somebody else. Sorry about that. Yeah, did they get rid of it? They shipped him out, didn't they?
Who?
Hold on a minute. I was about to say something stupid, I think.
Who were you going to say?
I was going to say Hopkins.
Oh, yeah, he's gone.
He is gone.
He's in the Chiefs.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think Tennessee's given up, right? I mean, like, I don't know what Tennessee's going to do. So I'm not getting anybody on Tennessee right now, and feels like 31-0. I don't know. It's like, so I don't know what to do here. St. Brown is probably has a good median projection. I don't know if he's capable in this type of game script to pick up 30 or anything like that. So I don't know. That's pretty much all I have to say about this.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting game just in the sense that, like, the only thing that's really interesting to me is the running back spot. I in a matchup where you're this big a favorite, you can and for a team that loves to run the ball, you'd think that Montgomery, the problem is it's Montgomery and Gibbs, but it seems more like a Montgomery game maybe to me. Gibbs has been taking over more of the role, which I sort of thought he would, but it always bounces back with the other two touchdowns going the other way. So I have Montgomery and Gibbs as, like, secondary consideration. Maybe we could play some Calvin Ridley just because there's literally, like, nobody else who can actually run a route. I guess Tyler Boyd you could consider, but I think Calvin Ridley maybe is a large field. They're going to throw the ball. He could get there on targets alone, possibly. He's also questionable, but I have no interest in any of the receivers from Detroit with this script. We also have no Jamison Williams, which is why St. Brown may look like a better play. But I personally am just mostly off this game with the exception of the running backs for Detroit. And another spot where if you wanted to spend up on defense, that certainly makes a lot of sense. I think that you have a great option in Detroit there. Very, very hard for me to see Tennessee any path to them keeping this game close, but things happen. Good to see you, Rob. He says he knows me back from the RG days. All right, Cheeks. What do you got next? As the Baltimore is it Houston? I'm sorry. What's it called? Houston.
Yeah. Colts Houston.
Yeah. So
I have two running backs that stand out over the field by a good margin. One of them is Joe Mixon. So that's pretty much the extent of what I like right now in this game. Joe Mixon, I'm just looking. Jonathan Taylor, I'm not really getting into too much of. Receivers, not much. So again, I wish I had more to discuss, but
that's fine.
But right now, I mean, just Mixon just looks like such a freaking smash play that's where I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, I have interest in this game as a stack, to be honest. I know I'm going to have to whittle down my stacks, but the Colts still play fast, not quite as fast as they were playing to start the season. And the Texans run a ton of plays, and you're playing indoors. And I have plenty of interest in all aspects of this game. I'll bet the over this week for sure on this one, and I just gotta hope that Indianapolis keeps it close, I guess. But Jonathan Taylor should be back, which should help them at least have a real guy back there. I don't think I want to play Jonathan Taylor, but I'm just thinking about in terms of keeping the game close. I'm definitely gonna have though, a Richardson stack, and Richardson's 5,800, and I know he hasn't been great lately, but he's always two potential touchdowns as a quarterback waiting to happen at 5,800. I think that's very reasonable. And you could pick one of the receivers, or you can play him naked. I think that's totally fine. You could play him with the Houston receivers, which is something I've worked out well for me this year so far. So I'm interested in this game maybe a little bit more than the field is. So As far as individual plays, nothing is a priority outside of Mixon. But in terms of stacks, I think this is a game that could go a little bit off the rails. All right, let's move over to Green Bay in Jacksonville.
Yeah, so this game, I won't say surprised or whatever, but I was hoping that this projected a little better because instinctively, to me, this game is like kind of the nuts. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would imagine this game would be a really, really tremendous game to stack. Actually, now with Green Bay, it depends obviously, as always, what receivers are in, what receivers are out, or whatever it is. But I like the Jacksonville side. You know, their normal receivers, the Brian Thomas Jr., Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram. I hope he plays because he was back. He had 10 targets 2 games ago. They were pretty much controlling the New England game, whatever, but he was back. And Green Bay plays freaking high scoring games, you know. So I don't know. I kind of like this game. They're not really projecting all that well, which is it's probably pretty good. Also, Etienne might be done. I mean, I don't know. Like so he didn't practice last week. Yeah. But he like fumbled the week before. He was like already kind of like on the way out over there.
Well, more importantly, Bigsby's just going crazy.
Yeah, no, Bigsby, but forget Bigsby. Also, they got a big, decent game out of Dearness Johnson. He had three receptions on 4 targets and whatever. Oh shoot, I gotta take this.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll talk a little bit while you're doing that. So,
I'll be right back. Sorry.
So anyway, yeah. So look, I'm not as interested in this game as Sheets is there. I don't really like this spot at all. To be honest. I could see myself changing my mind if like Jaden Reed and or Christian Watson's out. I do like Brian Thomas Jr. a little bit. So that's really the only play that I'm sort of like leaning on here. And I'm just curious to see what happens because if we do lose ATN, I have some interest in Bigsby. The production's there. So I would definitely be siding with taking a little bit of the Bigsby action here. If there's anything else, like I can't really think of anything else to do. I can sort of, here we go. He's back.
Sorry.
No problem. I was just saying that it's good because we're on sort of opposite sides today. So I don't really have interest in this game unless.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, if ATN is out again, then I want to play Bigsby. And if Jaden Reed and or Christian Watson or Gabe Davis is out, I can see this game becoming more stackable. But with the 500 receivers they have and the tight end in Green Bay, it's always tough to stack. The Jacksonville defense has not been as good as we expected. Maybe there is an argument for the game getting there. I just don't know what plays I really want outside of Brian Thomas. I really like Brian Thomas, and he's expensive now. It's probably priced more appropriately to where he should be. But in general, I don't mind gambling with him. It's just been really tough against these Packers corners. So I'm probably mostly going to be off this game. Hey, thanks, Rick. I appreciate that. I hope you're doing well as well. All right, so we'll move on to Arizona and Miami with a Tua back.
Yeah, so I hate to overstate this, but I mean this is a pretty big deal. You know, it's like you have Tua back, and Tyreek Hill is priced like Tua is not back. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Is he going to be chalk? I mean,
he's got to be,
right? I mean, 7Ks is kind of. I mean, he's only 200 more than Marvin Harrison.
I don't believe the early projections. Let's put it that way. None of them have him owned. I'm not buying it. I think Tyreek, assuming Tua plays, is going to be extremely.
He's 200 more than Marvin Harrison Jr. You know, not that I have anything against Marvin Harrison Jr. or anything, but
yeah.
But hell, so I how do you not like this? I like Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle.
Waddle's 5,400. I mean, that's crazy.
I mean,
we were paying 7,500 for him a couple like last year.
Well, I mean, again, you know, that's what they should be with no quarterback,
right?
But it's like, listen, I guess the pricing people didn't know that Tua was going to be back, and so I guess these guys are going to be popular, and Arizona gives up some points. So, yeah, it's a perfectly viable game to stack. You play all the guys from Miami if you want. You can afford them all.
Yep.
You want to run it back with, you know what you could, I'll tell you what you could do. So first of all, you can run it back with McBride or Harrison or whatever. But what you could do is say, screw Tua, just play the receivers and then run it back with a naked Kyler Murray or something like that. He's had like 2 rushes of over 50 yards this year.
Yeah, interesting idea.
So maybe do something like that, but it's kind of silly to not stack this game to some degree. And I agree with you. I think this ownership is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm going to call BS on this early in the week. I also think this total seems a little low to me. People may not realize this, but Miami was the best offense in football when Tua was there last year, basically. And I don't know why we would just be off this. I want all pieces of it. I want the A-Chain. I want the Tyreek. I want the Waddle. And partly I mentioned those other stacks I like. You can easily combine these stacks with this game. And if there's so many ways to go on this slate. But I'm sign me up on that. James Conner.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that worries me about the A-Chain thing is just that Mostert gets so much work now.
He did. Every time I turned to that game, Mostert had the ball.
Yeah, and he was being somewhat effective too, so they kept going to him. But I still like the upside for A-Chain, especially if assuming this offense is fully humming, which means Waddle has to be a go as well. But I'm in on this one. I'm definitely. I know I've got too many things that I like, but maybe that's why I don't like the Green Bay game as much, just because I do like a lot of spots here. All right, yeah, the Jets in New England.
Yeah, Jets in New England. This feels fishy, not fishy, but like Breece Hall projecting through the freaking roof right now. So as I mentioned, there's Breece Hall and Joe Mixon. The way I have things right now, it's like literally 2 running backs and like one other guy maybe.
Yeah.
But I will say this: we're only a couple of games removed from people wondering if it was going to be a completely split backfield. Okay.
I don't think anyone was really wondering that.
I don't know. If you get, I think that if you play, and we're also in a world where the Jets they don't need to, but they would really like to get Aaron Rodgers going. They got Devontae Adams now. Mm-hmm. And they got Garrett Wilson is now somehow, I don't know whether he's even our wide receiver 1 or 2, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And if Breece Hall is like 50% owned or something like that, or 45% owned,
yeah,
I don't know if I'm gonna do it. I don't. It certainly projects like you're supposed to do it. The other thing is New England's been kind of trying to play faster games, but this is a tough spot for the Patriots. I'm trying to think of reasons to do this, but all right, let's get back to reality. Breece Hall projects to be the best running back on the slate. You probably should play him in cash, and as far as GPPs, we'll have to figure that out along the way.
Well, you did hit on something that I think is a pretty good idea, that if you're not going to play Breece Hall, or maybe even if you are, but probably if you're not, the pivot is Garrett Wilson or Devontae Adams. That seems like a very logical way to go on this slate. If what you said, and I believe that to be true, I totally agree with that statement. They'd like to get them going. So they're up 2 scores. I could see them still throwing the ball at the 3-yard line to try and get, a little second touchdown for Adams or a second touchdown for Wilson. I could see that happening. So I kind of like the idea of maybe playing one of those guys in some of my non-Breece Hall lineups. I would give the edge to Adams, but he's 7,100. It's 7,100 versus 67. Maybe this is the game where that's what wins it, is the Rodgers to those 2 guys. I could see it. I certainly could. So I'm for right now. I'm just going to say Breece Hall. I do think is a great play, but I also am going to go out of my way to at least get over the field on Wilson and Adams. I think that's totally fair. I like that point that you made, though. I think that is what they're going to do if they can. And then again, we don't know if they can, though. We keep thinking what they're going to want to do. The problem is they're just really bad. And I keep saying this. Aaron Rodgers is not the same person he was. It's ridiculous that we keep treating him like it. That's a huge amount of talent that he's got around him, and they can't do anything. So
nothing.
This is the week where they should. And if they can't this week, it's not happening. All right, is the next one up Atlanta, Tampa Bay?
Yeah. Okay. So this one is definitely interested in. So this is a rematch of that ridiculous shootout they had on Thursday Night Football a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we have a really weird situation in Tampa that materialized last week where they lost both Evans and Godwin. So you have a situation where you have nothing but cheapos coming out of Tampa. Shepard, McMillan, Palmer, and the tight ends who, I mean, Otten in the last like 2 or 3 drives just got everything. I mean, literally everything. So you have all those guys really cheap. In what, and Atlanta plays fast games now. I don't know if Tampa Bay can play fast with that crew, but
they'll try. They like to play fast.
They're gonna try. And Rashad White or Irving. I think I don't know which one I prefer, but I think it makes for a perfectly good game stack. Along, and you run it back with Drake London looks expensive at 7,200, and his last game was just okay for 7,200. He's only got one game that you want at 7,200, but he still projects pretty well. So I think that that Tampa Bay value is going to be tough. Is going to be tough to ignore those receivers, and what's his name is my favorite still on the other side is Drake London. Yeah,
I hear you. I was a little disappointed in the Monday night game this last week because of that Henry huge run, and it's always sort of coming with him, but that huge run late in the game, that 81-yarder, it sort of opened it up for them. The passing game theory against Tampa Bay worked perfectly until that one play. So I like this game too. I think it's going to be pretty popular. Ray McLeod and Darnell Mooney are not getting much ownership. Just a reminder, Mooney put up 29 against these guys, or 28 the last time they played. McLeod's only 4,300. So I would include that as parts of ways to get to this game. The most popular tight end on the slate is going to be Cade Otton, and I understand why. There's no other receivers there. It's a pace-up game, blah, blah, blah. But I'm into this game, but no running backs for me. I have no interest in any of the running backs. All right. Next up, we have Philly and Cincy, right? This could be good game.
Yep. As far as my just overall stack rating, I have Cincinnati as like my favorite stack. But my stack ratings don't really consider price as much as maybe they should. I mean, I will just say, but Burrow, Higgins, Chase, specifically Higgins, actually, I have rated really, really high. But certainly nothing wrong with Chase. So I like all three of those, and I have Antonio Brown, AJ Brown, very, very strong play on the other side as well. So I don't know if you can get all these guys in. I mean, but they certainly look to be like all those guys look to be really, really high upside plays.
Am I missing something, or why does Saquon continually project so poorly? Because this Bengals defense, we're like a week removed from talking about how it's like the worst defense in football. And Saquon Barkley, I know he's 8,300, but that's to me the most interesting play in the game. I really like Saquon. I guess the brotherly shove, the tush push, whatever, that's got people off of him. I'll bite. I'm in on Saquon, and it makes for a nice. You get the normal Burrow stack: Higgins and Chase and Burrow, and run it back with Barkley, and you spend down with the Tampa Bay guys. Seems like a very obvious way to go on the slate. This is definitely one of the games that I like as the target, especially the Bengals side. But if it was going to be higher owned, I would have said you could just pivot over to the Philadelphia side. But I just don't think it's going to be high owned. So I like the Bengals quite a bit, and I like the Barkley run back.
Are we going to be able to get to these guys though? I mean,
that's what I just said. Well, that's what you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, you play those Tampa receivers, maybe.
Yeah, the Tampa receivers, and then at running back, you've got. Well, if you want to get bold, you could play like Javonte Williams at 6K.
Well, that's going to be the other one we get to. The other running back we get to, I think.
But yeah, there's a lot of games that I like on this slate, and I'm having trouble deciding which is my favorite. But this is definitely a game that I'm considering. So, all right, do we have any more of the 10 a.m. games? No, we have the Chargers. Okay, New Orleans in LA.
I mean, I can't imagine anything like this looking good. I mean, it's going to be.
One thing it's going to look good.
The defenses? I mean,
no, Dobbins is going to project really well.
You think so?
Yeah, he looks pretty. I mean, I know he had a bad week against Arizona, and but I do think he's going to end up being one of the projection darlings this week.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not getting him right now, but I wouldn't be surprised. Let's put it that way. But it feels like a defense type game. I'm not really even seeing Kamara look like such a great play this week. Well, you have to also see like who's back, if anybody, for the receivers, right? For the Saints,
right? And I think that's Taysom Hill might be the play of the week if he's available.
Oh, if he's back, and is he tight end eligible?
Yeah, he's tight end, and he's 3,900.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so I agree overall. I don't know what to do without knowing who's playing receiving wise. I would say that I know Rattler. I don't care how good or whatever anybody is. I just care about how much they're willing to go for it when they're 4,600. And he's 4,600. That's all I'm going to mention. I think there's upside. I'm not going to do it probably, but it's a thought that crossed my mind. And I do think Dobbins is going to be very popular. And I have Dobbins as one of, as usual, 9-10 running backs that I'm considering.
Okay.
I mean, they're a big favorite at home, and New Orleans hasn't stopped anything from anybody in the last 5 weeks. So, all right. Next up, we have Buffalo and Seattle.
Buffalo and Seattle. Yeah. So again, I don't know what it is. I'm just not really seeing too much over here. Metcalf questionable. Obviously, if he's out, other guys are going to look good. I don't really have either of these teams rated pretty high as far as my stacks go. Kenneth Walker, obviously,
man, he's awesome, huh?
He's reasonable.
He's been really good.
And you can run on Buffalo, right? So, yeah, okay, fine. So, Kenneth Walker, he's going to make my running back list. He's going to be behind Hall and Mixon right now. But, okay, fair enough. Kenneth Walker's in there.
Yeah, I like I mean, look, Seattle, you always have a huge chance at a big game here. So, I hate to have another stackable game, but I think this is one. I also want to go out and, I'll do my bets and stuff later, but I don't see any reason why the Bills are favored in this game at all, much less by 3. This is the most overrated team in football, without a question, in my opinion, the Bills. I don't see, I guess the Jets were the start of the season, which is what I said. And then the Bills look, they might even be, not saying that they're not good, but they just continually have these spreads that I have no idea. I have no idea why they were favored against Baltimore before. I have no idea why they're favored in this one. And I'm not saying they can't win. I just don't think that they should be the favorite. I don't think that's the normal outcome. I think this is going to be a really popular game for what it's worth. Really popular, meaning both quarterbacks get like 8%, 10% maybe ownership. And I think Tyler Lockett and Smith and Jigba will be very popular. Really hard not to have some interest there. I also do think that on the other side of it, you have Kenneth Walker and James Cook, who I think are both strong plays against defenses that are susceptible against the run. So I'm interested in this as a game stack, and I wish I didn't have so many, but I do, and I'm going to have to narrow it down as the week goes on. All right, next up, what is it?
Vegas KC.
This is such a KC game for their first loss of the year. This is the type of game that that it ends up being. I'm telling you right now, going out on a limb here. They're like 10-1 favorites. Go ahead, Chiefs. What do you think of this?
Is DeAndre Hopkins going to play at 4,900?
I don't know. My guess is that he probably will be able to play.
Well, I mean, that's ridiculous then, right? I mean,
is it?
Yeah. I mean, like the KC has like no receivers. I mean, like
he had the least separation of any receiver, any first number 1 wide receiver last year of anybody in football. He's not the same guy he used to be. Just throwing it out there. But
Schuster is out. So what else are they going to do? I mean, I think I really think that if Hopkins is playing and he could even get a remote resemblance to the playbook, I think he can get 10 catches in this game.
Okay.
So if he's playing, I'm playing him. That's I don't know what he's projecting, but I don't know. That seems ridiculous to me. What can I tell you? But okay. So as far as like guys I'm actually getting to, I have having Brock Bowers as the top tight end on the slate right now. He looks really, really good every single week. Mm-hmm. And, KC can give that kind of stuff up. So I actually like him quite a bit this week.
Yeah, I love both the tight ends in this game. That's my highest level of interest. I'm open to the Hopkins thing for what it's worth. I just haven't figured out whether he's playing or whether I want to do that. But I hear what you're saying. You do still have Worthy, Watson, and they just throw it to Noah Gray every time. Like it's weird.
But I mean, what kind of world is it that we're worried about like Noah Gray and Watson taking, from DeAndre Hopkins? I don't know.
What did they score? 28 last week? What did they end up scoring against the Niners last week? And all of it.
Well, there were a couple of pick sixes, wasn't there? There was
no pick six. There was just a pick. I think it was just the picks. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I thought so. And they just have these weird things. They bring in McCole Hardman, Sky Moore gets a catch, But the main thing is going to be Kelsey and Bowers for me. I think this is a great spot for both of them. I think people are going to try to play one of them or Otten. And I think that trying to play them together is something that I was looking at as a potential way to get different on this slate. So that was my interest level. If Jacoby Myers is out again, it makes Bowers an even better play. And I will probably, in this kind of game environment, take a shot with Trey Tucker or DJ Turner. But they're just value pieces. That's sort of how you can get to some of those other desirable games. But yeah, tight ends for me, not a whole lot else. And I do have a weird feeling this game is going to be close, very close. Kansas City's a 10-point favorite. I don't remember Kansas City. What if they won like 2 games by more than 10 points the last 5 years? Like they don't never win by 10. So I just don't understand it. But I'll leave that for the bet. By the way, the bets again last night. Sheets 5-0 to start the season. Let's go. For the
let's go, indeed.
It was a beautiful start for that part of it. All right. Next up, we have Washington. No, what do you have? After PC? Sorry, trying to look at yours.
Chicago, Washington.
Oh, it is Chicago, Washington. Okay, Sheet started off on this one. What do we do? We're assuming right now that we're not going to get him, right? We're not going to get Jaden.
Oh, well, I guess. So who's going to quarterback? Mariota? Yeah, I have to say that as far as just pure points per dollar go, I have Mariota as like the second best quarterback.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I can actually pull the trigger. Aside from that, I really don't have too much in this game, actually.
So if Jaden Daniels plays, and the reason I'm saying that I would guess, well, first of all, they're 2.5-point underdogs at home, so that immediately makes you think Vegas doesn't think that Jaden Daniels is playing, because there's no way they'd be an underdog in this game with Jaden Daniels. If Jaden Daniels were to play, I think this game has a real shootout possibility, as every Washington game does. They are loaded on their side. There's plenty of guys you can play on the Bears side. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen being probably the 2 most desirable, but I would need it to be that sort of Jaden Daniels game. However, you get the value with Mariota, where he might even end up being like a cash game quarterback this week. You know what I mean? If it is Mariota, but it would make me less interested in the game itself. So I have this with a big question mark, and people. I think if you really think that there's a chance that Jaden Daniels plays, I think you should be like hammering Washington in every bet and every over and every single thing like that. Because if he does play, first of all, you have outs if he doesn't, and if he does play, I mean, they should be at least 4-point favorites here, and they're 2.5-point underdogs. So that's my take. All right. Last up, I believe, is the Carolina-Denver game, which I don't think is going to be a very long conversation.
Well, I think it will be.
You're into it, huh?
I think Bo Nix is like clearly the chalkiest quarterback on the slate.
You know what? That's actually fair. I didn't realize he was. Well, okay. Yeah, I guess I thought for some reason I thought he was 6K. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have him projected as such. I mean, if I were playing cash, I mean, he would be like literally, I would say 80%. I think he would be much more owned than Mariota. I have him like clearly above everybody else. And then the running back, I have Javonte Williams, as you mentioned, as good value. And then if you wanted to take a shot, again, go back to, if you wanted to stack the game somehow, you pair Knicks with like Cortland Sutton and one of your other Denver guys that you like, the Valley or whoever. Mm-hmm. Carolina just gets roasted. So I think this is going to be pretty chalky, actually, at the end of the day. And then Carolina on the way back, if you wanted to play some of that, you're going to get Bryce Young quarterback. Hubbard, Deontay Johnson, whatever. In a what should be a pretty freaking solid game script. I don't know. I think this game's kind of easy. I don't know. I would say easy. I think it's easy to play. I don't know if you're going to actually, I don't know if I'm going to actually just pound this, but Knicks is just so freaking cheap. And Sutton, I think, is a good play. I think Devontae Williams is a good play. Deontay Johnson's a good run back. I don't know. I really like this game, actually.
Yeah, it's just, a team with a 15 total to have a wide receiver.
Do they only have 15 total?
It's 15, yeah. And I think the best, like Deontay Johnson, to pay for $6,300 for a wide receiver like that, and coming off of a great matchup where he scored 2 fantasy points, who's definitely.
Well, he's going to be low owned then, maybe.
But I think the best play in this game is Jatavion Sanders, the tight end.
The tight end?
Yeah, and I don't understand why no one played him last week, and I don't understand they're going to say, oh, Tremble's back. I'm like, but he's actually decent. But I don't know if he's the best play in this game. I think that, look, I get the Deontay Johnson. I love Vele, so I always like to get exposure there. I don't think it's necessarily a game stack. It looks more like the Denver stack is like where everyone's going. just because of the way Carolina's been. And Javonte Williams, they lay, then Deontay Johnson, I guess, would be my favorite parts of this game, and then Tavion Sanders. But I don't think it's a game I want to get overly invested in. Denver's defense is good. They can win this game with their defense. I don't know that they need to let Bo Nix go wild. However, Carolina's let everybody go wild, so maybe they do. Maybe they let Bo Nix get his first like really big passing game. So I could see it. So there's a lot of games to consider on this one. I think that, in terms of right now, I love the Arizona-Miami game. I think it's way under everything. Atlanta-Tampa Bay is a great game and a great game for value. You also have the Buffalo-Seattle, and for my personal taking, I do like taking a shot with the Baltimore-Cleveland. So those are the ones I'm looking at the heaviest, but I'm open to Chicago-Washington if Jaden Daniels comes back, and I'm open to Philadelphia-Cincy. That's my sort of overall.
All right. I will see you at like 6. We'll do NBA. Maybe we'll do a little showdown, and that'll do it.
All right. Sounds good, man. Good luck. And I'll talk to you guys this weekend, and we'll be in Discord.